I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. I sent out a tweet earlier today of who let the balloons out. I don't know if y'all remember the rap song going back, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago now, Who Let the Dogs Out. If y'all remember that song from these characters that you see here, it's a pretty interesting song. Who let the dogs out? Woo, woo, woo. But I want to know who let all these balloons out. Have y'all, last week when that one balloon flew over Alaska, down across Montana, Idaho, down across Kansas, Missouri, and then crossed down into the Carolinas and finally was shot down. This thing was 20 stories high and had a payload that it was carrying that was the size of 3 buses. In other words, the metal capacity, the thing that was underneath it, that was doing all the spying on America or spraying on America, don't know which, or maybe both, or spying and spraying, was as long as 3 city buses and collect mechanical information. So, this was a serious joint here about collecting information. And we have now discovered that China has admitted to the fact that they've been spying on America and that they sent that balloon. So we know that China let this balloon out. But now there's been 3 other balloons that have been shot down, one over Alaska and the other over Lake Huron and the other over the Yukon up north in Alaska. Well, who is letting these balloons out? And I want to give you a theory about what I think. And what I think obviously is always right. But the Bible says in Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 2, that there would be 2 end-time warriors. One would be named Gog. Now, this is some sort of, if you will, theological, pre-heavenly name that has to do with the dark side of humanity and the opposition to creation. And these names come out of the pit of that region, and the one name is Gog, and the other name is Magog. These are names that come out of the pit of the adverse to creation and righteousness of God. I would think that perhaps the reason why they're called Gog, now you can find this and I'm going to tell you where the balloons are coming from. You're going to wait. Most of y'all don't want to believe the Bible. But you can find these verses about this dark side against the creation of God. And so the name structure of Gog and Magog comes out of that period of time. And you can find this in Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 2, and in Revelation chapter 20, verse 8, you can see that God has set his face against these and the prophecy of their coming in Revelation chapter 20, verse 8. The other thing is that, and while the Greek word for God is theo, the Hebrew word for God has multiple, but mainly El is the Hebrew word for God, El Shaddai, Elohim. And he has even been known as Jehovah. That is a Hebrew word. But this satanic segment of Gog is using the word not God, but Gog. You get the idea now? And then Magog means the mighty God of the dark realm. The Magog means the mighty God from the dark place of the anti-creation of God. So Gog and Magog. And here, modern day application. Russia is known as Gog. And Russia now is at war and is threatening. And Russia is going to use a nuclear weapon. You can if you think that Russia is not going to use, think that somehow or another that Russia is afraid of using a nuclear weapon, then you got another thing coming. They're going to use a nuclear weapon. They're going to use, and they very well may just drop it on on America. Russia's going to, this Ukraine war, if you think that somehow or another the Ukraine is going to walk away and say that they beat the great white bear, Russia, you lost your mind. No, Russia going to use a nuclear weapon. So we need to know that. Now, China is going to take Taiwan, but here's what China has done. China, who is the mighty God, or the Magog, has said to America, we got your lunch. We know your number. So we're going to insult you. We're going to insult you. You know, there's a scene in the Bible where it says that Absalom, the son of David, took his wives, his concubines, up on the house, on top of the palace, and had open sex where the whole people out there in the yard could see Absalom having sex with his daddy's wives. And then so, what China has done with these balloons is that they've said to America, similar, we're going to insult you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. We're going to send a balloon flying maybe 40, 50,000 feet above your cities, and you ain't going to shoot it down because you don't know what it is. You don't know what's going to happen. You are as blind as a bat. Pastor Manning probably knows more about that balloon flying over America than the Pentagon does, or that so-called Pentagon spokesperson Kirby or Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. Lloyd Austin don't know nothing. China probably said Pastor Manning knows more about what's in that balloon than any of y'all in your so-called intelligence committees here in America, your Pentagon, your Secret Service. You don't even know you don't know. Here's a balloon flying over 300 million Americans, and the president said, well, you don't know what's in it. The Defense Department said, we can't shoot it down because we don't know what it is. Then they lied and said, we're studying it. You're studying it. You don't know what it is. First, they didn't know where it came from. Who let the balloons out? But I'm going to go on further, and I'm going to let y'all go, so I figure you got something else you want to do today. But can I share this with you? See, people don't believe in the Bible no more. America done got sicker than a dog in terms of them being anti-Bible. Oh, I know they still go to church, and, preachers, especially black preachers, they all run around talking about politics and coming, let's march and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Southern Baptist, they already run, let's evangelize, let's do that. Listen, here, let me just tell you what has happened. Can I tell you who let the balloons out? His name is Donald John Trump. But Jesus has named him Tribulation Trump. He is the one that let the balloons out. You want to know more? Come up close, I'll tell you. If you want to know more, stay with me. If you don't, turn me off. But if you want to know who let the balloons out, it was Donald John Trump. And by the way, Trump has made a deal with China. He's made a deal with Russia. He's made a deal with North Korea. He's made a deal with all of them. Those three in particular. Everybody else he don't care nothing about. Tribulation Trump. You think the man's crazy. He's a deal maker. The art of the deal. Trump made a deal while he was in power with Xi Jinping. And then those documents down there in Mar-a-Lago is nothing but a smoke screen and a red herring. He already done sent the information of where America's nuclear power is, what America's nuclear potential, how long it takes to get a nuclear missile warmed up to fire, what they're ready. Trump gave all that to Xi Jinping years ago while he was president. Are you kidding me? People say Trump don't care nothing about nobody, don't care anything about Ivanka. Trump don't care nothing about, I don't think Trump cares about his money and power. So Trump done gave Trump that. So the Chinese, do you think if the Chinese didn't have America by the cojones, that they would absolutely send a balloon that would circle over America for 5 days? This is biblical. Are you out your mind? If they didn't have the goods, if they didn't know the secret, if they didn't know where all the bones were buried, if they didn't know about the family Jew, Trump gave it to them. And by the way, there's been some talk now that 3 of these same type of balloons flew over America while Trump was in power, and everybody's lip was zipped. Everybody's lips was zipped. 3 of them, and now we just found out that who let the balloons out? That it's Donald John Tribulation Trump. And so now they're saying, well, there was one shot down the other day over the Aleutian Islands, somewhere up there in Alaska, right? They shot that down. So it was the size of an automobile. I don't know what that's all about. They had sent an F-22 up, and they shot that bad boy down over Alaska. Then, that was on Friday, I think. Then on Saturday, they shot one down up in the Yukon, way up north in Alaska, up there near the Yukon region. They shot another one down, another balloon down, right? This was the Canadian, because this was over Canadian. This particular one they shot down was over Canadian territory. So Justin Trudeau and Joe Biden, my time Biden, got together and said, well, let's shoot it down. They scrambled some jets, they said it, and they shot the thing down up there in the Yukon. And Sunday, everybody trying to get ready for the Super Bowl, heard that one was flying over, was it Lake Michigan or something? Yeah. And finally, left Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, they shot the thing down and it went down in the water, Lake Huron. 3 been shot down, one every day. There's probably one floating around somewhere now. But the thing of it is, this is all, so well, we don't know where these are coming from. You get people on television talking about, we don't know who owns them. What do you mean who owns them? We think Jeff Bezos or somebody? Who owns them? So I can tell you now, they're owned by Russia and by China. Potentially, Kim Jong-un has been empowered as well. Trump gave Kim Jong-un a lot of power. America is done lost her mojo. I put it to you this way, okay? If I can talk to you, if you got some. Would you let somebody come into your space, Jesus, and fly a balloon for 5 days over your house, and you don't know what's in it? You don't know what it's doing? Would you let somebody do that? Do you? If you can help it? If you had the power? Listen, Jesus said this, you don't break into a strong man's house and spoil his goods unless you are stronger than him. Case closed. I keep telling black folk about that anyway. I tell you, talk about white people came to Africa and took all up back enslaved. Well, why they couldn't go to Africa, man, and take down a whole 10,000 village of African people? If the Africans were stronger than the 200 white men on that little class clipper ship that they came in there, listen. These balloons have been let out by China, and maybe the smaller ones by North Korea. Gog, which is Russia, is fairly soon, probably once the presidential campaign gets underway, Russia is going to drop a nuclear weapon. It's just, and then you if you go to the Court of Ethics, you go to the United Nations, or European unions and all of that kind of good stuff, and try to make Russia a bad boy. Listen, they've already painted Russia with the blackest brush they could find. They have already painted Vladimir Putin with the blackest brush, the worst war criminal you can find. They're going to make that boy worse than Hitler. So he ain't got nothing to lose. What's he got to lose? If Putin doesn't nuke, and when he nukes Kiev, which is where he going to drop that nuke, everybody going to shut up. Everybody going to shut up. And then the troops going to march down into Russia all the way down to Crimea, stand on the border of Poland, and look across that Poland and say, y'all next. And that's how that is. And America won't be able to do anything. They're all kind of magnificent, kind of electronic stuff where they can disorient stuff and they can disorganize stuff and they can send computers haywire. That balloon was over 5 days. Was it spying or spraying? For 5 solid days, and mainly if you follow the trend, this thing wasn't just drifting. By the way, somebody told me that the word I was looking for last week was called the jet stream. It wasn't following the jet stream, not at all. That thing was going exactly where it wanted to go, stayed over some of the military silos, gathered information, and listen, let me say something. One other thing, I don't know this to be true, and I'm not here spreading any disinformation to all you algorithm people. But I don't know if y'all remember Y2K. Y'all remember Y2K, the year 2000, where all the computers were going to go berserk. because they didn't know how to change from the 1900s to the year 2000. So they called the Y2K, and everybody would run around with their hair on fire, including me. Y2K is coming, and all the computers going to stop, the elevators going to stop, the buses going to stop running, the clocks going to stop, the hospitals going to shut down. Y2K, all the computers going to shut down. Y2K, right? Well, Y2K came, and Y2K, the year 2000 came and went. But the potential for the entire computer-grade system in America, from everything from a hospital bed to an elevator in a high-rise building, runs now by computers, and they could have stopped. They didn't. I'm saying who let the balloons out had 10 times now the kind of power that was spoken of in Y2K, and potentially, maybe the end of this year or some other appointed time when Russia gets ready or China gets ready, they can just pull the switch and all the computers are going to go crazy. America will go pitch black dark because that balloon flew over and did all that stuff. And Joe Biden sitting there in the White House and let it happen. But on the other hand, he couldn't stop it because Trump has already given away the seat. Listen, you say, how about Trump is great president? We're great president we ever had. Great president. You sound like black people. Dr. King, great. Al Sharpton, he's a sure enough patriot. He's a sure enough fighter. Al Sharpton, they fight for black people. Al Sharpton, no justice, no peace. Al Sharpton. Yeah, black people talking about Al Sharpton. Well, you white people out there talking about Trump, you remind me of people talking about Al Sharpton. You're the damn same. Listen, anyway. Trump, I bet president. Hit black people. Obama, our first black president. Obama, our first black president. Obama, our first black president. Trump, the best president. Hey, y'all, what is wrong with y'all black and white people? What's wrong with y'all? Anyway, I got to go. If you don't have any place to go, I do. I got something else to do. But I do want to say this, that it's on. Trump has sold us out, everybody. Except for me. You know why? Because I am protected by the word of Almighty God. I'm his servant. And ATLAH is also protected. Watch it. You watch what's going to happen. This time next year, you won't remember your grandmama's name. That's right. This time next year. It's on. Trump has turned over the family. Trump has turned over the power of America to China. He may even, I don't know if he's going to leave Mar-a-Lago and go to Shanghai or go live in, he may, I don't know if he's going to do that, but he may not have to. All right? Now they're talking about indicting him and bringing him to trial. That's a joke. If I ever heard anything funny, that's a joke. And potentially will be the next president in 2024. And I think that if America lets Trump may cut a deal and say, if you let me become president in 2024, then I won't pull the switch. I'll let y'all have another 4 or 5 years before we pull the Y2K switch on America and all the lights go out. It could be a deal cut like that. He says he's ordered the deal. And I'm just telling you who let the balloons out. Don't be asking anybody else. It was Gog and Magog. And Trump is if you will, the power behind the entire event. I'm James Everett Manning, everybody. I am indeed the Lord's servant.